everything involves a degree of risk, whether it's emotional, putting yourself out there, talking to people, or whether it's physical. I think most people tend to think of physical risk as the first thing. For me, it's calculated risk. I think I try to figure out, what's the benefit to something and how to mitigate things to make it a little bit safer or whatever it might be.
I'm non-confrontational, which is probably a weakness on my side, but I think there's always that idea that you may be rejected or fail, and so I sometimes avoid risk because of those.
When I think about risk, I take a lot of risk as far as I'm a very physical person outside of the office, so I do a lot of physical activities. I'm involved with cycling, I'm involved with hockey, do a lot of hiking, so there's always an element of risk in everything I do outside of the office.
I started with nothing and I was happy then, so I'm sure that I could be happy there again. I think that's a key point for anybody wanting to be a risk taker and an entrepreneurial type. And then, in my normal life or my life outside work, I love to ski. Like helicopter skiing is one of my favorite things. I do some pretty risky things. I used to do a lot of scuba diving and skydiving and all that kind of stuff, mountain biking. I do a lot of downhill mountain biking and get all padded up and really go for it.
The risks I take at work benefit me financially, which also benefits my family. I'm not a huge risk taker outside of work because I have 3 children that I have to look after, and taking risk physically probably aren't where I'm at. And one of the risks is financial. We have 3 kids. We just recently have a driver. And it has been difficult for us to let her drive, although the benefit is that I'm not driving her around anymore. But the risk is that something could happen to her.
All of the products that we design and manufacture are actually made to mitigate risk. So it's sort of the opposite, where let's take roadway construction, for instance. Those guys, just by doing that job, and being out there taking a risk every day. They're crazy to do that job, if you ask me. Those guys get killed every day. And so we're trying to come in there and to convince agencies, federal, state, county, and educate those guys on using new and different techniques to try to increase the level of safety for the workers out there. And it's more about mitigating risk and for those guys rather than vice versa.
I've always kind of looked at what we do as not necessarily provide a service or a product. Sounds kind of cheesy, but I always thought that what we do is we provide order. And whether it's for roadway barricades or whether it's for airport barricades or whether it's crowd control barricades for crowd management purposes, what all of those products have in common is order, and it provides order for whether it's traffic employees or airport employees or construction employees or concert employees, along with what's on the other side of that.
I think back to when I was younger, and going to concerts was a kind of risky, scary thing for me. I was shy and there was a lot of people, and I guess this was at a time when people were like into the mosh pit craziness and all that stuff. But I think about how meaningful those large group interactions are with people and how memorable they are. And our crowd control barricade, I don't know why that made me think of it, but I think of things like the Arts Festival, where they use it a lot. And when you take the risk to go out and put yourself out in public, a lot of times you're exposed to ideas and images and things that you just can't foresee going into it. So I think that's the beauty of risk, is the reward sometimes you're never going to know what it is.